You're listening to The Expect Effect, where the concept of self-care is our primary focus. We know life is hard, but we believe self-care doesn't have to be. Consider this a judgment-free zone, an acknowledgement of feeling, the birth of every great idea within you. This is your weekly dose of me time, and I'm your host. It's just Nakia. Your life? That's meant to be all that you desire, and we want to help you get there. So sit back, relax, and unwind as we uncover ways to truly expect better, do better, and believe better. Self-care Sundays have never looked this good, so let's get right into it. Before we jump into our We're Recommended segment of the week, I want to let anybody know, if you're in Houston, Texas, the weekend of February 28th, listen, you have to be at the Black Excellence Expo. Listen, Black History Month is 365 days a year, 25/8 this way. But for those of you who couldn't possibly understand how amazing and wonderful that experience is, you could at least attend the Black Excellence Expo on February 28th in commemoration of Black History Month. Now this week, we're recommending blue microphones. And honestly, I'm going to say less, because for those of you that have been continued listeners here at the show, you know that my audio quality has not always been the best, but I've recently purchased a Snowball Ice microphone. This is the most powerful USB condenser microphone on the market. They have a wonderful audio quality and presence. My voice is controlled. The mic is phenomenal. The accessories are affordable, and most importantly, affordable is the thing. It's not going to hurt your pocket. If you're serious about podcasting, recording, or any other venture in which your voice is a requirement, then do yourself a favor and check out Blue Microphones. You can find them on Amazon or anywhere really. Google is your best friend. Type in a good old search and you're going to find her. This week's topic, listen, we need a minute, so I'm going to have to bring the cheers back in. Reclaiming my time. Time broken down, you know I love an acronym. Time broken down, this includes my efforts reclaiming my time. A lot of times, how redundant, a lot of times reclaiming my time. But in many instances, individuals, I think, don't realize how much you take away from yourself by not being more intentional with your time and the use thereof. Devon Franklin said, if you don't learn to fully commit yourself to the process required for success, you'll never achieve all of the results the process can yield. If you just pray and do half the work, you're never going to achieve the fullness of your purpose. If you don't fully commit to the process, you can never enjoy the results of the process. So many times we want the fruit of our labor, but we don't want to work for it. And if you just do half the work, then you're never going to achieve the fullness of your purpose, because you're not going all the way. Reclaiming my time, that's about becoming intentional with your time, being almost selfish, as many would describe it, with your time, and understanding that this includes your efforts. This life is defined in the present moment alongside the life we hope to achieve. We have a tendency to trip up on the lack of focus in the present moment. We have plenty of tenacity and energy for the things that we hope for, but minimal insight on what it takes to get there. Understand that the process is essential, but the appreciation thereof, see, that ensures we capitalize on every possible gain as we progress throughout this journey. This right now, this is significant. Time is significant. What you do with the organization and management of your time is significant. If you are going to commit to something, then commit to it wholeheartedly, but also be able to take an avenue of appreciation and respect for anything that you're doing. I know you hate that 9 to 5. Listen, I'm not the biggest fan of mine either, but there is a significance in what I'm doing. There has to be an appreciation of what I'm doing to some degree. You may be tired of having that same old conversation with your significant other, with your best friend. You may be tired of bringing up that same issue to your family, but this is significant. Your diligence, your consistency, there are things you're building on in every situation. Acknowledge those things. Includes. The journey is inclusive. This includes my efforts. The journey is inclusive. It's really that simple. It includes the pain. It includes the heartache. It includes the disappointment, the triumphs. It includes the wins, the attention, the healing, the peace, the growth, the loss. It includes lessons learned and wars overcome. Life will never be easy, but it can be peaceful. It can be manageable. Perspective is everything. Better use of your time includes the proper positioning of your works, your thoughts, your practices. Your being needs to be fully aligned with the dream or task at hand. Only then are you able to really maneuver in the fashion that you're really going to be trying to. When the significance of this is realized, you're then able to include the not so great things you previously set aside, just as badly as you proclaim the happier times. You're able to include that recovery that you maybe haven't necessarily addressed, those grudges you haven't released, the words you were previously using to work against yourself, the words you were using to hurt others, you're now utilizing to build yourself up. Time is significant and time is inclusive. This includes. This is the present moment. It's an appreciation of the present moment. I'm so hype I can't talk, but one day, y'all, I'm really gonna get a grasp on the English language. But seriously, it's life defined in the present moment, alongside the life we hope to achieve. You can't build something without, I don't think you can properly build something without a true appreciation of what you have or the structure you're therein. If you can't appreciate and work through and mold the mess that you're in right now, I don't think how you expect to manage or obtain or have or successfully hold on to all the things that you want when you're a mess right now. You're not trying to clean up and fix this situation right now. You have no appreciation for this, no proper management of your time, but you think you know how you're going to handle billions. Okay. Includes. The journey is inclusive. There can be nothing that you're not transparent about, that you're not open about, that you're not honest with yourself about, and that you're not addressing. Reclaiming my time. This includes all of that stuff I don't want to talk about, and the things maybe I only share with my therapist. I gotta work that stuff out or I'm not gonna get anywhere. Your life is all your own. You own it. You determine the outcome of your thoughts. You determine the energy you put out and what you're willing to give at any given moment. What you do in the present holds significance. It is inclusive of every aspect of your life, and it involves taking ownership of opportunity. It's your life, baby. This is your time. You're the only person it's you. At the end of the day, it's you. Nobody's going to die with you. Nobody can stay with you. Nobody's going to pick you up. When it's really down to the wire, it is just you. Own your life, cater to your life, and make sure that you're building a life that you're proud of, one that you desire, and one that truly fits the mold of who you are. Taking ownership of your time involves all of these things. Finally, efforts. This includes my efforts. Being intentional with your time requires adequate use of your effort. There's only room for progression, not pity. There will be moments you may not be liked or understand as you take the walk towards everything that you're hoping to achieve. There are going to be things you don't get. There are going to be people that don't get you. You're not going to be favored in every situation. Everything isn't going to work out the way you would hope it to. Your peace isn't for everyone, but it is yours. And you have the opportunity to mold and shape it like no other. You have the opportunity to take this life as far as you want to take it. You have the opportunity to make it as great as you truly want to make it. I'm Dr. Seuss over here with it, but really, you are in complete control of everything that you desire and all that you hope for. When you understand that reclaiming my time is a direct step, and it's in line with self-care, and it's in line with acceptance, and it's in line with love, and it's in line with progression, and it's in line with discipline, and it's in line with practice, and it's in line with achievement, right? Like you cannot generate any of this or have any of your successes if you're not willing to be more organized, if you're not willing to be more disciplined, if you're not willing to be more careful with yourself, if you're not willing to be more passionate about your desires, if you're not willing to truly get a grip, if you don't reclaim your time, if you don't quit letting people take peace from you, if you don't quit letting situations and circumstances break you down, if you don't quit having to go back to the drawing board for that same attitude problem you're not working through, nothing is ever really going to unfold for you. Stop thinking that if you don't manage your time right now, stop putting things off. Stop saying I have until. I can do this when. I'll just get to it later. If you don't create a schedule and a structure and a set of something to propel you forward, hold you accountable and lean on, you're not going to get anywhere. It's going to keep being a dream. It's going to keep being practice. It's going to keep being something you're hoping for, but never something that comes into fruition. You directly mold, shape, and create the outcome of your life. Take hold of that. Reclaim your time. Be passionate about the things that drive you. And go after it. Who's stopping you? And why not? I'm going to ask this every week. Who better than you? And when you have an answer for me, please DM it, email me, let me know. But who better than you to realize all of those dreams, aspects, aspirations, and desires that you have in your mind? Who better to play out that scenario than you? There's nobody else. You are the key. Stop looking for one. It's you. Reclaim your time. Become a better steward. Become a better manager. And you will find that life is going to flow with you in a beautiful way. Reclaiming my time. This includes my efforts. And this week, we are stepping into full effect with none other than the host of She Runs Trails, Melody Dowlearn, my former Spanish teacher. Listen, I'm so excited to have her here on this show. I can't explain to you the gems that are going to be dropped. Hold on to your wigs, hide your wife, hide your kids, grab your purses, just get ready, sit back. If you have some popcorn, just get prepared, because anything I could have done, she's gonna do it better. Sit back, relax. We're coming right back after this.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm so excited to be here with you today recording. For those of you who are not familiar with the She Runs Trails podcast, that is the project that I am currently working on. I am an avid trail runner, hiker. I love to be outdoors on the trails, whether in Texas, in Colorado. But really, I love the empowerment that trail running brings to me, and I use that to help other women kind of unlock themselves. The tagline for my podcast is Unlock Your Inner Warrior. And I try to bring community, visibility, empowerment, and education to all women who love to be outdoors, who love to be on the trails, love to be running. So that's really kind of what I'm about right now. I wrote a book, The Beginner's Guide to Successful Trail Running. So if you're listening and you've ever considered running trails, I encourage you to check it out. And in April, I'm also looking to start a second project called Losing Your Religion. It will also be a podcast and helping bring people out of a religious mindset into freedom. So that's kind of what I'm working on right now and what I'm all about.
That is really, really dope. Losing Your Religion. I remember hearing a Kirk Franklin poem, kind of like a poetic track like that. And there's so much empowerment behind that. And I think so much relatability there. So I'm so excited to hear that. Thank you so much for sitting down with me on the show. To those of you who don't know, I've spoken about this a few times before. This is my former Spanish teacher. And while I don't know Spanish as well as I should, I did do very well at that time. And I did have a great time in her class. I felt like I was learning something. So I hope that you will all feel like you're learning something here today. One thing I want to talk about in the relation of the topic, which as we've prefaced, is reclaiming my time. Time broken down as this includes my efforts. So when you talk about being able to create spaces of community visibility and empowerment for others, I would assume, it included getting a good grasp of your time and managing your efforts, figuring out yourself, and kind of building a structure that allowed you to produce an olive branch for others. So can you tell me a little bit about the process?
Most definitely, and it's all about organization, intentionality, which is all part of a process. And I think, a lot of people, and I've seen this just in my life and those I've walked with, there are some great ideas. There's a lot of visionaries, and there's a lot of people who have an idea, who have a dream, but more often than not, they kind of get lost in the space between the vision and the manifestation of that vision, or the dream coming to life. And so it truly is a process of pulling yourself together, organizing your life in such a way that, organizing your time, being intentional, and creating an infrastructure that holds your dreams and can help bring those to life and implement those. Because the reality is, You can have all the ideas you want, but if you don't take the time to birth those ideas and to take the necessary steps, they just stay great ideas.
I really, really love that perspective. And I love the way you broke it down of saying it takes organization, it takes being intentional, and it takes being willing to create. So you have to be willing to go through that process. But when we're talking organization, I think a few people may get flustered in the sense of exactly how do I do that? And I know the method is therefore really individualized per situation and per circumstance, but what are some ways that you gained organization in your life and stopped boxing out your potential?
That's a great point and great question. And, again, it's going to be different for everybody's personality style and work ethic. But I know for me personally, I'm the personality that always takes on way more than what they probably should. And so for that to work, there has to be organization. And so what that looks like, I guess, or the practical application of organization in my life is I'm a list maker. And it's not like, incredibly detailed, but I do jot things down. I do time blocking, from hours 8 to 10, I'm working on this. And I really do work on whatever I've set aside for myself or, put down on my list. And I put my cell phone away and I'm about the thing for that time. And I'm committed, to whatever it is that I have set aside for myself or what I've scheduled myself. And I think it's just really the follow through on that and, resisting the temptation to get distracted, because the truth is we are surrounded with technology 24/7 that offers a plethora of distractions. And, it's so easy to check out and do something else. And it's really just fighting that urge and staying on task, which takes practice.
I agree. And I couldn't have said it better myself, but I definitely related to the points you made about blocking off your time and being very committed and intentional about the use of your time, especially considering that you may take on more than you probably should. I feel like I'm the same way. I'm a yes person. I'm a let me get it done for you. I'm a and I feel like I overtly apply myself in a lot of situations. Like I'll be at work knowing like inevitably my passions exceed the space I'm in, but I want to give that space my all to also obtain as much as I can from that space. I feel like part of that is also being a learner and wanting to know things and wanting to grow and wanting to develop. There's always something that can be obtained. But when you're in a situation in a society like we are, where there are so many distractions, if it's not TV, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, there's something going on and there's something that we could be plugged into. So then to say like, no, like we really, really have to be intentional with our time. Like this includes my effort because it truly does require that you put something aside. There has to be this intentional movement. So I definitely love your point towards the structure there. When you talk about creating visibility for others, what areas of your life did you feel like you weren't seen and that you kind of wanted to feed that into others? What really fuels your passion behind community visibility and empowerment? Like, why are those the tiers?
Yeah, that's a great question. I could speak to so many things. In my early 20s, I was a single mom and, but I was also a very strong woman. And I felt like at that time, there was no visibility or community for single moms. And so I did something about it. I started a group, and this time kind of predated social media. So it was much harder then. This was the era of, I hate to date myself, but this was the era of MySpace, and AOL.
It's not terrible.
Like
I messed with MySpace. Like it's not terrible.
I mean, it's not quite prehistoric, but yeah. So, and so I would, I can remember even then always being like, okay, this is not right. This is not how it should be. So what am I going to do about it? I'm a very kind of take charge. And if I don't like it, I'm going to fix it. Let's solve the problem. And so, that was 20 years ago. And I was trying to find groups and create groups, on my campus for single moms and, help them find resources and connect them. As a single mom, I understood that, we were and when you're a single mom and you're 21 and, you're in college, you're a very small subpopulation. And then even more recently, when I turned 40, I started trail running. And I know again, that's a very small subpopulation, but even in the outdoor industry, there is no representation or not much representation of women. It's predominantly male dominated. Nothing wrong with that, but I believe that there is space on the trails for both genders and for all abilities and all ethnicities. And you just don't see a lot of women being represented. And if you do, they are the elite runners. They are the women who are, doing crazy things, running 100-mile races and winning.
I feel like that's true. Like those are the only runners I know.
That's all you see, right? When you're on social media, they don't reflect the mid-pack girls, which is where I'm at, or the back of the pack girls. All the celebration, all the validation, all the visibility are on these women who are incredible athletes. And I'm not trying to diminish what they're doing, because they're obviously paving the way in a male-dominated sport. But I wanted to bring visibility to runners who look like me, runners who are post 40. And even then, I've partnered with, Native women's running, because Native women are not represented. Persons of color are not represented in the outdoor industry. And interestingly enough, I was on the phone today with two women who are trying to change this and help empower the next generation of young women who want to start businesses in the outdoor industry. And I'm all over that. And I'm going to partner with them. And there's some
that is wild that you mentioned that, because like it's growing up on a farm, like I really, really enjoyed fishing, and I still do. But I can't explain to you how odd it is to feel like it's not a community I see myself in too much. So it's like something I do with my friends and family, but I don't tell a lot of people like, yeah, I really enjoy fishing.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And you should see the looks when I tell people like I trail run, and they're like, oh, okay. Like, what is
right. Because I felt everything you were saying, and it's something I've never even thought about, that we don't have this representation. But here I am, like, I don't even want to tell people I do that, because it doesn't appear like something that I would do, because nobody's created a space for it. This is amazing.
No, it's not validated on social media. Therefore, it's like, oh, okay. It's weird how people accept things and receive information, and that defines their norm. And so we have to change that. And we always have to ask ourselves, why? Why isn't there representation? And I don't think it's, you have to be really careful with this conversation about visibility, because a lot of people will take the route of victimization and blaming. And I'm not diminishing that. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who are at fault, who have held others back, of course, but that always positions you in a place of bitterness. I think it's more proactive, and it's more beneficial for everyone when you say, okay, I'm going to be a game changer. And, because we all have had things in our life where we're not represented, where we're not visible. But instead of getting angry and letting that fuel you, which it will for a time, I think it's better just to find your motivation and your passion and let that fuel you and change it for the next generation. Be a solutionary. Don't be part of the problem. Because we all can complain, and we all can say, well, this held me back, or this held me back, or this held me back. But again, back to time, we're going to bring it back into time. You're given so much time, and what are you going to do with it? And how are you going to steward the time that's given to you? And are you going to use that time to positively impact, the culture that you were born into, the time that you were assigned to? Or are you just going to sit back and, and complain that you couldn't because of X, Y, and Z? I'm sorry, you didn't ask me that. I just took off there. Are you there?
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry. I didn't even come off of mute. I got so excited. I had to mute myself, because if I had a church choir, I would have brought it in. I was jumping on the couch. I was having like a Tom Cruise moment. I was so hyped about everything I just heard. I don't even have words, but I was also taking notes, and I was like, I can't scream into the mic. Nobody wants to hear that. So I was trying to just stay back and stay composed. But I want to talk about, I had to ask you that question, because I needed that to unfold, because when I say this, a lot of people are going to be like, man, this includes my efforts. Like, I hear you, but do you know what I've been through? Do you know what I'm experiencing? Do you know what I'm encountering? Do you not understand how it might feel hard for me to come over this thing? Of course I understand. Others understand. And I want to present an avenue that lets you know that you have potential to overcome anyway. And when I hear the game plan, you identified a need. You said, I'm going to speak up for others like me. I don't like what I'm seeing in these areas, in these spaces of things I enjoy. I decided that there was a problem. I saw it. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to be a part of the solution. Momentum and motivation are on the same playing field. Like you said earlier, to your point, respectively, there are a lot of people that have a lot of great ideas and a lot of great dreams, but no real push to get there, no real organization, no real structure, no ownership of your time. How many days are you going to wake up and assume that you still have the opportunity to get it done? It's time to start today. So I think I definitely love everything you put there. And to say also that essentially, what are you going to do with your time and how are you going to steward your time? I heard a sermon recently that said you can't secure, you can't secure that. Like if you're securing the bag, then God can't secure the bag, right? You're supposed to
Right.
be a manager, a steward. You don't own anything. And I think that when we're able to steward, we're able to be more generous. And I think we're able to be more open because you constantly realize that there is work to be done. I can't stress this enough. Stop thinking that you get somewhere and suddenly nothing else is required of you. That
Right.
mindset is what inevitably creates loss.
Right.
And so I definitely want to dive into you just a little bit though when we do talk about overcoming situations. It sounds to me like you overcome a lot of things by dedicating yourself to correcting those things, making situations better, and figuring out how to be of a light to others. But in all good things here at the Expect Effect podcast, talk to me a little bit about things you do for your self-care and wellness.
Great question. For me, my thing is I need physical movement. I need to run. I need to sweat. That is where I let go of a lot of stress. And so to some people that sounds like the furthest thing from self-care.
I couldn't, I was about to say, I saw myself on a treadmill and she lost me, but I'm here.
But for me, that helps me. I think my greatest thoughts when I'm running, and I find solutions when I'm in motion, not when I'm still. So, okay. And I know that doesn't fly for most people, but that's how it works for me. And also I'm really an extroverted introvert. So while I love people, I'm really not
I love them. But I need my people downtime. Are amazing, but if I could be by myself, at any given moment, just a few hours, I feel like that's where I recharge.
Yeah, I do. I do recharge that way. And I do need time, at least 24 hours without people pulling on me. Because I just need my space. I need to think my thoughts. I need to process where I am. And I can't do that when there's people constantly pulling on me. We're not all created that way. My son, who's 23, he can't live without people. Like when he is in the alone space, he goes crazy. I cannot,
oh my goodness.
I don't understand that. So, I tell him he's a social addict, but I could go 3 days and not say a word and I'd be okay with that. So that's my self-care, and creating space to be alone, making sure that I get my physical activity because that's another way I recharge. And I find a lot of answers that way. And just, really, and being my authentic self and being true to who I am, which is something that I learned in my 30s, setting boundaries. And that's been really probably the most impactful thing that I've done for myself is just realizing that other people's drama is not my responsibility, whether that's immediate family, extended family, friends I've had since high school. It's called a boundary. And I respect myself enough and I value myself enough that I'm not going to continue to be a doormat for the people that I've been adoring. And I can't put them together. I can't please everybody. I can't make everybody happy. I can respect them. I can honor their position in my life, but it does not mean that I'm responsible for them. And so I picked up the phrase in my 30s, not my circus, not my monkeys. I said that I think 20 times a day because I am typically the people pleaser in my family. I'm the one who holds everybody together. And then I started resenting it. It started fostering bitterness. And I'm thinking, wait a second. They have no idea what they're doing to me. They use me, to make themselves feel better time and time and time again, but no one's pouring into me. This is a one-way relationship, and I'm worth more than that. I'm just going to start surrounding myself with people who want to reciprocate with me, who want to pour into me and value what I have to give to them and who love me for who I am. And once I dropped, and it took me a few years, this was not a process that, just happened overnight, but truthfully, that has been life-changing for me. And I think that's probably the highest level of self-care that I have implemented in my life. Boundaries.
That's so powerful because I feel like I had to do the same thing in a lot of ways. As a person who fell into an alcoholism, a span of that, you definitely have to set boundaries with yourself, right? So that's number one. But then I had to figure out oh man, the people around me are probably also draining and taking from me and not feeding me. So I had to therefore learn and assess what was going to actually keep me going, because here I was giving all this output and giving all of this, and then I would hit these walls and nothing, absolutely nothing, but I had poured out so much. So it was not my monkeys, not my circus. I can't afford to miss out on what's for me on account of running and making sure that you're okay. I have to be okay.
Yes.
So that like in itself just it embraces everything that we want to relay and share here at the Expect Effect podcast. I am blown away. I would keep you here for an hour and a half, 2 hours if I could, but I definitely appreciate you speaking up and sharing insight with me, especially on needing that alone space and that alone time. Because I am a person that can go radio silent. And on one hand, respectively, I feel like you listen to people so much every day because I do like people. I want to hear stuff. I want to hear your stories. I want to engage with people, but then you also work. So you hear people. Podcasting involves talking to people. And so then it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't have anything left to say. And it's also like, that's okay. Like silence for me is good. Like I could just sit in that space. So that was just a dope perspective to hear you embrace. As we close out, I want everyone to remember time. This includes my efforts. There are so many steps that you will have to take, but if you are able to be intentional with your time, these steps aren't going to feel like you're striving to get to something, but rather it's going to feel like you're striding into something, like you're walking, like you're moving at pace because you've allowed time to not only flow for you, but you've taken control of the aspects and areas of things that may have been previously taking from you. So if you would just let the people know where they can find you, where you would like them to check you out as far as social media is concerned for engagement.
Sure. You can find me on Instagram at She Runs Trails Podcast and also at Losing Your Religion. Those are both my Instagram handles. And then my website is sherunstrails.com.
If you don't learn to control your time, inevitably you are going to lose. Thank you so much for sitting down here with us at the Expect Effect podcast this week. Self-Care Sundays have never looked this good. We are going to be back here all new next week for a brand new round of self-care. But I want you to play this episode back at least every day this week because that's how good this insight was that we got. Thank you so, so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Listen, life is hard, but self-care doesn't have to be. We'll see you next Sunday.